Someone out there is genuinely, almost uncontrollably excited about you. The kind of excitement that spills out in mid-conversation, that makes them put a friend on speaker just so they can say, "You have to hear this person." And the beautiful thing is, it's not because you're performing or trying to impress anyone. It's because, without even realizing it, you've become a kind of mirror for what's real. You make people feel less alone in a world where authenticity often feels like a risk. You remind them of something they forgot existed: connection without effort, understanding without pretense, and conversation without masks. For years, they've shape-shifted to survive, contorting themselves to fit into rooms that never felt right. They learned to dim their quirks, to hide their intensity, to compress their soul just to blend in. They became fluent in silence, experts in pretending. And then, you appeared. You didn't flinch at the parts of them they'd been trained to edit. You didn't look away when their depth showed up. You didn't demand simplicity. You embraced their complexity. You spoke directly. You stayed grounded. And you treated what most people avoid, realness, like it was just another language you were fluent in. That loosened something ancient in them. The guard they carried, the armor they'd polished for years, began to fall apart in your presence. When they talk about you, one word keeps echoing: relief. You are the sigh after the storm. You are what safety feels like for someone who has lived too long in emotional crossfire. You make them feel like they can stop performing, like it's okay to exhale and just exist as they are, raw, unfiltered, and alive. But what catches them first is your communication. You don't sugarcoat truth or bury it under polite layers. You speak in clarity, not loud, not sharp, but steady. There's power in your stillness. They can tell you've been called too much, too blunt, too direct, labels from those who preferred your silence over your certainty. Yet to the right people, your honesty is oxygen. It feels like fresh air after being trapped too long in rooms that reeked of half-truths. Your words don't wound, they awaken. When you point out a pattern, it's never to win, it's to free. When you share insight, it's not to sound wise, it's to offer perspective. You don't chase reactions, you inspire reflection. People walk away from your conversations feeling lighter, not because you told them what they wanted to hear, but because you reminded them what they already knew deep down. And that balance, that sacred blend of a soft heart and a strong spine, that's your signature. You embody grace without weakness and strength without cruelty. You care deeply but not recklessly. You listen fully but you don't absorb everyone's storm. You're empathetic but not easily manipulated. You help when you can, but you don't self-destruct in the process. You move through the world without needing the spotlight, yet when you speak, people instinctively lean in. Your silence demands as much respect as your words. You've built quiet boundaries that speak louder than confrontation ever could. When a conversation starts spiraling, you don't chase it, you release it. When someone's help comes with hidden strings, you decline it. When peace costs too much to maintain, you choose solitude over chaos. And that rare combination of kindness with discernment is why people call you rare. They're also a little nervous around you, though they'd never admit it. Because you see too much, not in a judgmental way, but with a clarity that unnerves. You don't expose people, you expose the fog they hide in. You hear the sentence beneath the sentence, the truth beneath the tone, the energy shift before the body moves. You sense the unspoken motives, the invisible power plays, and you quietly step back before the cost gets high. They've never met someone who could read a room so precisely and still choose compassion instead of control. With you, every exchange feels deeper, but paradoxically lighter. You remove the pressure of pretending. You normalize honesty. You turn silence into peace instead of punishment. You make emotional depth feel like safety, not danger. You are proof that strength and tenderness are not opposites. They are allies. That's why when they think of you, they feel both admiration and calm. You've become a quiet revolution in their life, a reminder that authenticity is not a threat. It's a magnet. You didn't just change how they see you, you changed how they see themselves. And in a world obsessed with noise and illusion, you are the rarest thing of all. Someone who makes truth feel like home. You're the kind of person who can talk about real things, identity, patterns, self-sabotage, faith, purpose, without ever making it feel like a lecture. When you speak, there's no sense of performance, no ego trying to take up space. You share like someone who's been there, who has faced the chaos and learned how to build meaning out of it. That's what makes people open up to you. You don't demand truth. You create an atmosphere where truth feels safe to exist. Around you, masks fall naturally. People don't have to brace for judgment or prepare their words carefully. They can just be. Even when the truth is uncomfortable, even when it exposes their flaws or fears, you meet it with presence, not punishment. And in that presence, they start to feel more alive. Every honest word they speak in your company feels like a breath they didn't know they were holding finally released. There's a pattern in how you live, and people around you are trying to learn it, quietly, curiously, almost like students observing a masterclass in self-trust. You've turned self-awareness into a daily practice. When something doesn't feel right in your body, you don't override it or gaslight yourself into staying. You listen. A tight chest at a dinner table, you pay the bill and leave. A foggy head after a phone call, you don't schedule a second one. A gift that comes with emotional strings, you leave it unopened. You don't create drama, you create distance. You don't make speeches, you make exits. That consistency has taught your nervous system something sacred, that you can be trusted. Your peace has become your compass and your intuition, your North Star. That's why you've started to glow differently. Your face looks softer, not from lack of struggle, but from the relief of no longer betraying yourself to please others. Your voice has settled into a lower, calmer register, no longer bending to fit the mood of the room. Your decisions come faster now, not from impulse, but from alignment. You don't second-guess your discernment anymore because you've built evidence that it's reliable. You've learned that clarity isn't loud, it's quiet, it's calm, it doesn't need validation. It simply knows. And now life is matching that frequency. Opportunities flow smoother. People with depth find you. Energy drainers fade away without a scene, because you no longer chase what's out of rhythm. You attract what's in tune. They call you a cute weirdo, and though it sounds casual, it's one of the highest compliments they can give. Cute because you radiate warmth, unpretentious, approachable, real. You don't armor yourself in detachment, you stay human. And weirdo because you are gloriously, unapologetically yourself. You've grown allergic to scripts. You have no interest in the performance of normalcy. You'd rather be misunderstood than misaligned. Your presence feels like permission to breathe deeper, to laugh louder, to exist without trimming down one's edges. Around you, people stop apologizing for being too passionate, too intuitive, too emotional, too alive. You make authenticity contagious, and even without trying, you've become a kind of teacher. Not the kind who demands attention, but the kind who inspires it naturally. The way you live has become a syllabus in emotional maturity, clear inputs, clean boundaries, honest feedback, steady inner maintenance. You don't just talk about healing, you model it. You don't glamorize peace, you practice it. You've shown that real power isn't in controlling others, but in mastering your own energy. Watching you handle ordinary days with presence makes others want to live with intention too. You make balance look beautiful, not boring. Sometimes, though, you go quiet. You pull back, not out of indifference, but out of reverence for your own energy. You disappear for a while to reset, to think, to listen inward. You don't announce it with a flood of explanations or a long apology text. You just let silence do the work. And that's when people who care about you start to feel the absence. It rattles them. Not because you've done something wrong, but because they're not used to someone who can love deeply and still protect their inner world at the same time. Most people were taught that love means constant availability, endless communication, and emotional exposure. You're teaching them a different kind of love, one rooted in trust, space, and sovereignty. When they talk about you with someone they trust, the conversation always ends in the same realization. You're not punishing them, you're not disappearing out of anger or games. You're simply honoring yourself. You've learned that your energy is your responsibility, and you refuse to spend it recklessly. You don't chase closure, you create it. You don't over-explain peace, you embody it, and they see that. Even if they don't fully understand it yet, they feel it. They feel the stability that radiates from you like quiet gravity. You've become living proof that boundaries and love aren't opposites. They're reflections of the same truth. You've proven that real connection doesn't require constant contact. It requires mutual respect. You've shown that stillness isn't absence. It's self-presence. You've mastered the art of existing in a way that feels whole. You can laugh, flirt, connect, and still pull back to recalibrate your own spirit. You can care deeply without collapsing. You can love without losing. People find themselves drawn to you for reasons they can't quite articulate. It's not just your words, it's your frequency. The quiet strength behind your eyes, the peace in your posture, the authority in your calm. You are the embodiment of what it looks like when someone learns to trust their own rhythm, to listen to their intuition louder than the world's noise. You are the reminder that being different isn't a flaw, it's a direction. You don't walk around trying to be a guide, but your presence ends up guiding people anyway. You don't chase enlightenment, you just live aware. You don't force transformation, you embody it, moment by moment, breath by breath. And in a world obsessed with appearances, that authenticity feels like a miracle. You've become the rare kind of person who doesn't just inspire change. You activate it, quietly, gently, consistently, by simply being who you are. You're maintaining yourself, not in the surface-level way people talk about self-care, but in the deep, steady, sacred way that only comes from self-awareness and lived experience. Every time you pull back, every time you disappear into your own quiet world for a while, you return more aligned, more peaceful, more certain. People can feel it. Your energy no longer arrives scattered, it arrives refined. You've become the kind of person who calibrates instead of collapses. You don't vanish out of avoidance. You retreat out of reverence for your inner world. Every silence is a reset. Every pause is a prayer. And every time you come back, you're sharper, lighter, clearer, like someone who's been tending to their soul rather than escaping their life. The people who pay attention have started to notice this pattern. They're learning that your stillness doesn't mean distance. It means refueling. They've stopped mistaking your quiet for indifference and started recognizing it as emotional intelligence. They know now that if they need reassurance, they don't have to play guessing games. You're approachable. You'll answer plainly, truthfully, calmly. There's no manipulation in your tone, no cryptic replies, no emotional riddles to solve. Your peace doesn't require decoding. It communicates itself effortlessly. What they admire most, though, is your way of holding boundaries. You do it without theatrics. You don't need to raise your voice to make a point or turn every no into a moral explanation. You've mastered the kind of strength that doesn't need to prove itself. You don't fight to be understood anymore. You understand yourself, and that's enough. You've realized you don't need a courtroom to enforce a boundary. You don't need to be angry to be done. You simply say, "That doesn't work for me," and continue walking. That calm dismissal of drama has become your quiet rebellion against a world addicted to chaos. You've shown them what happens when you stop feeding dysfunction. Drama starves. Rumors lose their calories. Manipulative people lose their power. The false emergencies that once demanded your emotional labor reveal themselves as theater. People who once thrived on pushing your buttons stop getting a show because you stopped giving them an audience. You don't react anymore, you respond, and only when necessary. Your silence has become your sharpest form of communication. It speaks louder than confrontation ever could. That steadiness of yours is contagious. Just being around you makes people want to anchor themselves. You make others want to protect their own mornings, land their evenings intentionally, and keep their days simple enough to survive the hard ones. You've become proof that peace doesn't have to mean boredom, it can mean balance. You make calm look powerful. You make rest look radiant. You make emotional discipline look like freedom instead of control. People talk about how you make life feel new again, but without the chaos they once mistook for excitement. You're curious, but never frantic. You're grounded, yet open. You'll take a different route home just to experience something new. Pick up a book that challenges your beliefs, or ask the uncomfortable question no one else will. You've learned to sit still when your mind craves distraction. You replace spiraling thoughts with simple, grounded action. 20-minute tasks, small victories, closed loops. One brave call instead of 10 anxious drafts. You've reframed discipline into something beautiful. Not punishment for who you were, but respect for who you're becoming. That shift in mindset is what transforms everything. Suddenly, your habits become holy. Consistency becomes comforting. What once felt like routine now feels like oxygen. You've shown people that magic doesn't appear in chaos, it grows in calm. You've taught them that peace isn't the absence of life. It's the container that allows life to bloom without breaking you. You've turned the mundane into a ritual. You've made stability sacred again. And yet, as much as they admire you, you also intimidate them. Not because you demand perfection, because you don't fake it. You don't hide behind polished words or spiritual masks. You don't pretend to have it all together, but you're honest about the work it takes to stay grounded. That kind of authenticity is rare, and it can be confronting. Around you, people can't get away with pretending. They can't overpromise, over-explain, or dodge accountability. You see through projection, you sense avoidance, and you recognize self-deception before the sentence even finishes. You don't call it out cruelly, you just don't feed it. You're the kind of person who raises the frequency of a space without saying a word. Your presence alone makes people straighten their posture, check their energy, tell the truth. They want to match your calm. They want to show up clean. They start rethinking their excuses, their tone, their intentions. Not out of fear, but out of respect. You make people want to show up as their best self because mediocrity simply feels too small in your presence. You've redefined leadership, not through control or authority, but through alignment. You've become living proof that maintenance is mastery. That spiritual power doesn't come from dramatic awakenings. It comes from daily alignment. You've proven that healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about learning to stay steady in the storm. You don't chase growth anymore, you embody it. You're not seeking validation, you're radiating certainty. In a world that glorifies noise, you've become the quiet force that shifts everything. Your peace is loud now, your boundaries echo, your clarity commands attention. You've taught everyone around you that evolution isn't a single breakthrough, it's a lifestyle. And that's why they can't forget you. You're not just someone who changed. You're someone who continues to maintain the change. You are consistency personified, proof that alignment once built can sustain its own light. Oddly enough, your honesty doesn't intimidate people. It anchors them. The way you refuse to dress truth up in sugar or disguise it behind false comfort gives others permission to breathe again. You're the kind of person who would rather face a short, sharp truth than build a long, gentle lie that will cost both souls later. That makes people feel safe in a way they didn't know they needed. They sense that with you, there are no traps, no emotional fine print, no hidden agendas. You say what you mean what you say, and you stand on it with quiet confidence. You're not trying to win arguments, you're trying to protect integrity, yours and theirs. And the most fascinating part? They don't feel policed by that honesty. They feel liberated. Something happens around you, they catch themselves mid-performance, they stop editing their tone, stop rehearsing their sentences, stop pretending to be fine. They start telling the truth, sometimes awkwardly, sometimes nervously, but truthfully nonetheless. You draw that out of people without demanding it. It's not something you force, it's something your energy allows. There's a strange comfort in being around someone who doesn't need masks to connect. And that's where their respect for you deepens, in the realization that they can't lie to you, and they don't want to. They've also started paying attention to the way you handle privacy, how you guard what matters without hiding who you are. You've mastered a balance that's rare in this world. You're visible, but not exposed. You share what serves the moment, but you protect what's still growing. You're open, but never hollow. Generous, but never porous. You don't let openness be mistaken for the absence of boundaries. You understand that intimacy doesn't require constant explanation. It requires discernment. You know that not every story is ready to be told. Not every thought deserves an audience, and not every feeling is meant for public consumption. You've built sacred walls around your peace, not to shut people out, but to preserve what's precious inside. In a culture where constant availability is mistaken for love, you've rewritten the rule. You've shown that care isn't measured by how quickly you respond or how often you appear. It's measured by the depth and authenticity of your presence when you do show up. You've proven that reliability is more romantic than obsession, that stability is more sensual than chaos, and that space doesn't dilute love. It strengthens it. People feel lighter with you because you teach them that devotion doesn't have to feel like anxiety. You're showing them that love can be quiet, steady, patient, and still electric. You've also redefined what it means to connect. With you, communication isn't a game of decoding or proving worth, it's an honest exchange of energy. You've stopped treating emotional availability like a currency, and instead, you offer presence as a gift. When people speak to you, they feel like time slows down. You don't half listen while planning your response. You listen like someone who actually wants to understand. That kind of attention is rare. It's healing. And it's teaching them a new model of love, one rooted in clarity, not confusion. When they imagine a future with you, and they do, more often than they admit, it's not fantasy that plays in their mind, it's peace. They picture something grounded and radiant at the same time, a relationship that doesn't need to be loud to be alive. It's not dull, it's dependable, not repetitive, it's rhythm. They picture two people who can say no without punishment, who can ask for space without guilt, who can love fiercely without losing individuality. They imagine two people who clap for each other, on camera and off, in public and in private. They see a partnership that doesn't crave spectacle, but values sustainability. They imagine a life with you that feels mature, but never lifeless. A connection built on mutual respect, where both people keep their values visible and their ego on a leash. You've taught them that consistency isn't boring. It's the soil that passion grows from. They don't want an aesthetic romance with a chaotic back end anymore. They don't crave adrenaline that burns out. They crave alignment that endures. You've made them realize that excitement without peace is just instability in disguise. There's something magnetic about how you keep your world ordered. You have a life that breathes beyond your relationships, hobbies, rituals, sacred solitude, quiet routines that no one else touches. You have moments that belong only to you, and that makes your presence feel even more valuable. You're not constantly online, not endlessly available, not addicted to the performative chaos that so many mistake for connection. You've built a real life, not a broadcast. And because of that, they're learning something profound from you. That mystery and stability can coexist. You can be both open-hearted and discerning. You can be both expressive and private. You can love someone deeply and still protect the parts of yourself that need time to grow. You've made boundaries look beautiful, like elegant architecture instead of walls. If they're honest, they find you intimidating in the most inspiring way. Not because you're harsh, but because you're real. You don't flatter for approval. You don't over-explain your choices. You don't audition for belonging. You move like someone who already knows where they stand, and that's what draws them in. You make authenticity look magnetic. You make honesty feel safe. You make peace seem luxurious. And in that truth, you've created a whole new blueprint for what modern connection can look like. A relationship built not on constant validation, but on mutual growth. Not on fear of losing, but on joy in evolving. Not on performance, but on presence. You've shown them that love at its highest level isn't chaos. It's clarity. It's not a chase, it's a choice. And that choice, when made with honesty, privacy, and respect, becomes the kind of bond that doesn't just survive, it thrives. You've become living proof that real intimacy doesn't demand exposure, it invites depth. That privacy isn't distance, it's devotion to the parts of yourself that deserve protection. And that love, when rooted in truth, doesn't burn fast, it glows slow and steady, illuminating everything it touches without destroying a thing. They want a partnership that feels like home, not a battlefield. A connection that doesn't shrink either of you, but helps you both expand into the people you're still becoming. They're not chasing perfection, they're craving presence. They know that love isn't about two flawless souls fitting together seamlessly, but about two evolving humans choosing each other again and again through honesty, patience, and grace. They're not naive. They know real connection includes friction. There will be misunderstandings, silent days, triggers that resurrect old wounds, and moments where the distance between you feels too wide to name. But they don't see that as failure. They see it as part of the rhythm, because they've come to understand that deep relationships aren't about avoiding discomfort, but learning how to dance through it without breaking the bond. They know that sometimes you'll need space to find your center again. You'll pull back into your quiet world, not out of disinterest, but out of emotional maintenance. And yes, they might misread it at times. They might assume the worst before remembering that your silence isn't absence, it's renewal. And there will be moments when they overtalk, filling the silence with worry, wanting reassurance when all you needed was stillness. But the beauty lies in the difference. You both are willing to name what's happening instead of running from it. You're both learning to speak plainly instead of spinning stories, to say, "I need a minute," or "I'm feeling off," instead of letting tension build into misunderstanding. You're not perfect communicators, but you're intentional ones, and that's what changes everything. They want to meet you there, where communication is clean, not cluttered, where the air stays breathable because there's no emotional smoke clouding it. They crave short, honest conversations over endless decoding. They don't want the drama of guessing games or the ache of walking on eggshells. They want clarity, the kind that comes from mutual respect. They want practical adjustments instead of theatrical ultimatums. Here's what I need. Here's what I can give. Here's what I can't handle right now. Those simple sentences have become your shared vocabulary, the quiet rhythm of your connection. They love that you've already been speaking that language, and now they're learning to speak it with you. They see now that your magnetism was never built on charm, but on truth. You didn't become magnetic by perfecting some trick or pretending to have all the answers. You became magnetic by choosing honesty over approval, by listening to your body's cues when it whispered enough, by simplifying your life enough to actually hold joy when it arrived. You stopped chasing complexity and started choosing alignment, and that's when peace began to orbit you naturally. People sense that about you. You don't create chaos, you calm it. You don't demand attention, you command respect by existing authentically. And someone noticed that energy, and they were moved by it. Someone who finds your uniqueness beautiful, your directness refreshing, your boundaries reassuring. Someone who doesn't see your self-discipline as distance but as devotion, to truth, to balance, to peace. They admire how you can be so open and yet so grounded, how your heart can stay soft without losing its edges. You've shown them that being kind doesn't mean being naive, and being private doesn't mean being detached. They feel safe where your oddities live. The things you once thought made you too different, the way your mind wanders, the way your silence stretches, the way your intuition seems to see behind walls. They find all of that magnetic. To them, your so-called weirdness isn't a flaw, it's flavor. It's what makes you human and mystical at the same time. They call you a cute weirdo. And for the first time in your life, that label feels like a crown, not an insult. Cute because you're warm, present, and approachable. Weirdo because you're wonderfully unrepeatable. Someone who refuses to dilute themselves to fit in. With you, different finally feels like a place to belong. And that's something they've been searching for without realizing it. You make authenticity feel safe. You make individuality feel shared. You make love feel like expansion, not restriction. They don't want to tame your energy or slow your growth. They want to evolve alongside you, learning how to hold space for both the soft and the strong parts of you. They're ready to belong there, with you, at your pace. They don't want to rush the connection or sculpt it into an image. They want to grow it like a garden, slowly, intentionally, tending to the roots before celebrating the blooms. They want mornings that begin in peace, nights that end in gratitude, and days filled with small gestures that mean more than grand performances. They imagine a partnership where both of you can take up space without apology, where "I need time" isn't taken as rejection, and where silence feels like mutual breathing instead of distance. They see a future that's steady, not boring but balanced, not repetitive but rhythmic. A life where both of you can say no without guilt, can celebrate each other's wins without competition, and can disagree without destruction. They want a love that doesn't depend on constant reassurance, but grows on mutual trust. A love where the basics, honesty, respect, consistency, are sacred, not negotiable. A love that doesn't perform for the world but quietly strengthens itself behind closed doors. You've redefined what romance looks like for them. They no longer crave the dizzying rush of infatuation that burns out fast. They want the steady warmth that builds a home. You've taught them that stability can be passionate, that peace can be seductive, and that loyalty is the most radical kind of intimacy left in this world. You've become their mirror and their muse, the reminder that wholeness attracts wholeness. You've shown them that the right connection doesn't consume you, it nourishes you. And now they want to walk beside you, building something that honors both freedom and commitment, individuality and unity, love and logic. Because with you, love finally feels real. Not a story to perform, not an image to uphold, but a living, breathing space where two souls can meet, evolve, and rest. They're ready for that. Ready for you. Ready to belong, not in fantasy, but in truth, where love is steady, sacred, and alive. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlightened Wisdom.